Today we're going to be talking about Kingston. Now, Kingston is a new community that I've kind of teased out to you a little bit. That's Estero. It's a brand new premier master plan community right in the heart of Southwest Florida in Estero. If you're a little bit familiar with Estero, think Corkscrew Road, right out that road, pretty far east, past Verdana Village. That is where Kingston is going to be. Now, don't forget, there are some cut-through roads that are coming in. You can go around Alico and sort of avoid that corkscrew traffic. So there's going to be some things that are going to be different and unique about Kingston. So it's a massive 6,700 acre master plan community currently under development along the Corkscrew Road corridor. So at build out, it will feature roughly 10,000 homes, 700,000 square feet of commercial space, a charter school, a hotel. So it's going to be massive. So spanning 10.3 square miles. Think about that. That's huge. Think along the lines of Babcock Ranch. It's going to be one of the largest master plan communities in Southwest Florida. So roughly the size of 8 New York City Central Parks. So big. The home builders that are signed on are your national builders, your typical, what I call volume builders, and there's going to be a mix of estate homes, executive homes, villas, and condos. So right now we've got Lennar, Pulte, and Neal in Kingston South, which will be south of the Corkscrew Road corridor, and then Taylor Morrison in the Esplanade at Kingston, north of Corkscrew Road. So the timeline is going to be the first move-in should start rolling out in the next year, but don't forget, you can start putting these into contract very, very soon. In fact, we have folks right now registered with a few of the builders. So the community is designed around 30 plus acres of world-class recreation, which is going to include a tropical pool. They're going to call it a pool oasis, so my mind thinks that's going to be beautiful. A premier sports complex featuring 12 pickleball courts, basketball, tennis, and bocce. They're going to have something called the Saloon, which is a signature nightlife anchor with a full-service bar, performance stage, live music, think villages, state-of-the-art fitness center, aerobics studio, and a cafe. So it's going to be awesome. Let's talk about it. All right. So good morning, Connect to Florida. I normally don't do 3 minutes of what feels like promotion, but honestly, I am getting so many calls for reasonably opening price point new construction in Southwest Florida. And because Kingston is definitely, they're hitting the bill, if that's a word, if that's a phrase. They're nailing it as it relates to that, because the opening price point for a single family home is going to be about $400,000. Now, I have some really good news for you. I have been sort of teasing Kingston out to you a little bit because what I gave you, the promo video, that's what it's supposed to look like, and I would imagine that it probably will look like that. But right now it's dirt. There really isn't anything. I was out there and I'm like, okay, what can I walk? What can I show them? I mean, essentially I'd just be walking on dirt and grass. There's nothing out there, but we have folks that are getting on waiting lists and that are you can see some of the maps so that you can have your eye on specific lots that you're looking for. You know, everybody wants to be in on the pre pricing, and this will be your opportunity to do that. So what I wanted to talk you through, before I zigzag, let me just say this. I was initially like, okay, well, the $400,000 opening price point is Lennar. So it was sort of like, but is anybody else going to open around there? And thankfully, very good news, Neal is also going to open in that sort of price range, which for me personally, this is just my opinion, I would prefer a Neal built home as opposed to Lennar. So that's just my opinion. But we're going to talk through it. I want to help you strategize. And I gave you a little screenshot of my business card, my digital business card. So I would just really suggest to you, because I know most of you are probably going to jump on their website and sort of look around what each builder is building in Kingston. When you do that, they're going to grab you and they're going to want you to register yourself. Please, please register me with you, because if you don't, then I can't help you on down the road. They block agents out if you don't have that initial registration. And a lot of people think that's when you walk in the place, which you can't walk in the place right now. You have to do that online at this point. So at that initial contact, you have to register an agent. So what I'm asking people to do is, if you think at all that you want to work with myself and my team, that's our stomping ground. Register me with you and then shoot me a text, and I'll have you in my database and we can, start to communicate. I'll keep you up to date on everything. And once we go to contract or walk lots or whatever it is you want to do, there is a lot that we can help you with in new construction. And every one of those builders, every one of them offers compensation to the agent. So you don't have to worry about that. There's really zero reason to not register an agent with you. So I say that to you because people get burned on that all the time. All right, so let's talk about what the options are going to look like with these builders. So there are 4 initial builders. I gave them to you in the promo, or at least I think I did. Lennar, Pulte, Taylor Morrison, and Neal. Those are the 4 initial builders. Why do I use the word initial? Because sometimes other builders come on. Here's the thing. This is a huge, as I showed you, a huge community. So you can make the assumption that if you get in on the earliest phase, it should tear up. It's too big not to. Sometimes there's smaller communities that maybe they're slated for 50 or 75 homes, something a little bit different with no amenities, like think along the lines of maybe Opus Stone, something like that. That's smaller. Corkscrew Estates was one. When they're small like that, there can be concern that if you open at X price, and then you're going to have theoretically 1 or 2 more phases, if it doesn't sell the way they want it to, it prices under the opening price point. That has happened in Naples before. But with a development this big, it's just so rare to have that happen, especially when you're going to open at $400,000. So that said, I also want to remind you that that is the house, okay? If you're doing single family home, and they're going to have, so the strategy is to have different style homes, of course. There's going to be condos, there's going to be villas, there might even be some townhomes, but right now we're talking about single family homes. So the thought process is to open them at $400,000. That is a very opening price point, but don't forget, you've got to put that on a lot. So if you choose a lot that backs to a lake or backs to a preserve, always think about what direction the back is facing. That's super important for lighting and, having your pool warm when you want to swim. If you're a morning swimmer or an afternoon swimmer, all those things matter. That's why we want to help you with this. But that said, don't think, okay, I can build a house for $400,000, because you probably will not be able to. Because if you put it on a water lot, that could jump to $600,000 really quickly. So just keep that in mind. So let me just give you some little basic facts. Lennar is going to do their typical package build, their typical volume build. So they're going to have their packaging of whatever, LVP flooring, level 1 countertops, probably no backsplash. They're going to have their things that are included in these packages where you can build for this, and these are the things that are included. They're going to do their usual thing that works for them. Now, let me tell you what else Lennar is going to build in case they're your favorite builder. They're going to build villas. They're going to do executive and manor homes, which are going to be their typical mid to large single family homes on a standard lot. And then they're going to do an estate home. So that's their premium collection. And they're going to have up to 5 bedrooms and 3-car garages. So the confirmed floor plans with them are going to range. They've got the Oakmont, the Sunset, the Augustino, and the Wynwood. You're probably familiar with those. So they're going to range anywhere from 2,300 square feet to almost 4,000. Then Pulte is targeting buyers that want semi-customizing. So as always with Pulte, they're going to allow a little bit of customizing. So they're going to do, and many of you that follow builders, you're going to know this, they're going to do the Mystique, they're going to do the Ashby, the Stardom, that's also called, their typical floor plan. So I want to run through this kind of quickly with you. Taylor Morrison is going to do Esplanade at Kingston. So they're building a mix of luxury single family homes and low maintenance condo style residences. Think Esplanade in what really is sort of like north Estero or south Fort Myers. So Esplanade right there. I've got a lot of folks that built in there and they love it. Think along those lines. That would be a good place. We'll probably be sending people to check out some of these floor plans. So when you work with us, being that it's dirt there right now, we're going to send you where we know they're being built. So the builder Neil. Now, if you're from up north, you might not know who that is because they're basically a Southwest Florida regional builder. So, and I think their quality is really good. So what are they building? They're building a curated selection of paired villas and single family homes in Kingston South. They also are going to be allowing a little bit of semi-customizing. So all these homes are block construction. You know, I know like in Central Florida, sometimes they'll give you the choice. The Villages is an example of that. They'll give you the choice to do a frame build. Never. I just wouldn't. I mean, maybe in Central Florida because you don't have to deal with like hurricane wind speeds, things like that. But everything is going to be concrete block on these. Now, what is the negative? What would be the downfall? If you build in phase 1, and this is an enormous build, you're going to deal with construction for a really long time. Now, the good thing is, Southwest Florida, when they bring in these big developments, they will create alternative entrances for the trucks, like for concrete trucks, things like that. Most of the communities, I don't know if they're going to be doing this in Kingston, but most of the communities will not lay the end game concrete until almost all the homes are in. Because why? Because you don't want to destroy the concrete roads with the big trucks. So you will deal with construction though, but keep in mind a community that big, there's going to be multiple entries and exits out of that community for the builders. So that usually helps. The other negative would be that it's on Corkscrew Road. So right now, Corkscrew Road is getting widened and they're trying to make the flow of traffic a little bit better. It frustrates the heck out of me because if you remember like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, they widened Corkscrew, but they only added 1 lane. And I remember I was saying, why? You know, anybody could make the assumption it's going to keep going and you were going to have to do this twice. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. So, but that's beside the point at this point. They're widening it to get it better traffic flow, but you're going to deal with that for a while. I mean, you are. But like I said, Alico cuts through, so you can kind of divert around what some of the traffic is depending on where you're going. If you're going to the airport or you're heading a little bit farther north, that'll be very helpful. But other than that, I'm not seeing really any downfall at all. The builders that are coming in are strong builders. Maybe you don't love Lennar, maybe you don't love Pulte, whatever it is, but they are strong volume builders, and you do have your choice of many different products. So there's almost a price point for everybody, and I've seen everyone's lot dimensions. So because I've been an agent so long, I have contacts with all these builders. We knew it was coming, and so we know there's a lot of really nice lots out there. Honestly, you could get a really nice product that you're going to be very happy with, I think, for under $500,000. So as always, that's my overview, and if I can be of help, I would love to help. Reach out, and my team and I will get you lined up, hooked up to get one of these homes.